So please join me in welcoming Erin Brown.
Thank you, dear. Thanks, Samira. I just want to start by saying thank you to the Samira Foundation team. Samira, you guys have been so great working with UCB and sharing these events with us, because it's really important for us to hear from the patients directly. We've had just a great panel today. We've done a couple other events, but today was really, really exceptional. I'm so proud of the patients and their families for sharing their journey with us, because we really do need to hear how to make clinical trials more accessible and more appealing to patients, because there's no other way that we can get treatments to the market for you without clinical trials. So today, it worked. I feel like I forgot to bring my panel with me, so if anybody wants to come join me on stage, feel free. Today I'm joined by some of my colleagues. We have Danielle and Nagza, Sherry, and Prashant in the back from UCB. There are patient support, our medical support. I am Erin Brown, a clinical project manager with UCB, and I kind of oversee the operational part of a clinical trial that we're conducting now in MOG. Clinical trials are important, and I know that there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of maybe some scary feelings around participating in a clinical trial. You're kind of unsure what's going to happen to your data. You're unsure if there's any type of bias. There might be some trust issues with the pharmaceutical industry in itself. If anybody remembers the pandemic, it was a little shaky for a while, trying to understand the data. It changed day to day. The vaccines came out so quickly. I think that's all really important for us to understand and try to rebuild some of the, understanding about how clinical trials are run, why we do them, and just help you understand that there's a lot of research that goes into the studies that we conduct. So when you think about a clinical trial, I know it feels like you're being asked to be a guinea pig or being tested with something that we have no idea how it's going to behave in your human body, in the indication that we're testing. But I assure you, it's a very long, detailed process. It's a very regulated process. We typically find a compound in a laboratory and do all kinds of testing there to make sure that we understand it the best we can before we start testing it in humans. We'll start in human studies with a very small number of young, fit, healthy volunteers that we tested on to make sure that this compound behaves the way that we would expect it to based on our laboratory data. We then move into studies, it's called a phase 2 study, where we're testing it in the indication that this compound is intended for, to collect mostly safety data to make sure that in this patient population, this drug doesn't have any surprises, that it behaves the way that we would expect. Right now, UCB is running what we call a phase 3 study in MOG, and we have a larger number of patients that we're looking for to test not only the safety, but the efficacy of this drug. It is a global study. We have 65 sites participating, which means we're working with some of the most, expert physicians in this field. It's in 19 different countries. We're about halfway through the recruitment of this study, but we still have a long way to go. There are no approved therapies for MOG at this point, which we've heard several times today. We're working very hard to try to find, one of the first treatments in MOG that we can get through to FDA approval. Let me tell you a little bit about the study. The drug that we're using was just recently approved for MG, which is myasthenia gravis, under the trade name of Rystiggo. So the good news is we have approval of that same compound by the FDA. So we have a really good bank of safety data and efficacy data in another autoimmune disease. So that gives some reassurance in the patients that are participating in some of the other studies we're using with this same compound. Our study is broken into 3 different parts. You come in for a screening visit where we draw some labs, we'll do an MRI, we do some other assessments, And if you qualify for the study, you go into what is called a double-blind phase. Double-blind means that your study physician, you, UCB, we do not know to which treatment arm you've been assigned. You're assigned to a treatment arm by a process called randomization. It is a complete kind of a flip of a coin, which treatment arm you're assigned to. So your doctor doesn't get to pick, UCB doesn't get to pick. It is a randomized trial. So the two treatment arms in this study are our study drug, which is rozanolixizumab. I'll tell you more about that in just a minute. And the other treatment arm is placebo. And I know it seems scary to think that you would come into a clinical study with a severe disease like MOG and be treated with a placebo. And placebo is really a compound that looks just like the study drug, but it doesn't have any active ingredients. It seems kind of scary to think that that's what we would treat you with in this study. But I can tell you that it's necessary for us to have that placebo arm so that any events or effects that we see during the study, we know if we can contribute those to the study drug itself or not. Without that control in the study, we're not really sure if our drug is what, created this positive or negative effect in our patients. So it seems scary to have a placebo arm, but it really is necessary for us to get to the data that we need to bring this drug to market. The nice thing about the study design in the cosMOG study is that if you're in the double-blind portion of the study, if you do have a relapse, we have a opportunity for you to join then an open label part of the study. And open label means everyone in that part of the study is given the study drug. There is no placebo in that part of the study. The study is going to go on. Our patients are going to participate for multiple years. And it's a long duration. It's a big ask for the patients, but we're really excited to see what this does in the MOG disease. Our goal is to prevent your next relapse, or at least delay the time that you may have your next relapse. And we hope that this drug is able to do that. The drug itself, like I said, it's already FDA approved for another indication. It is given as a subcutaneous infusion under the skin in your lower abdomen. The infusion only takes 10 to 15 minutes. It's a very small volume, 2 to 4 milliliters of solution, and it's given every week. And the one thing I want to point out is that weekly infusions call for weekly study visits. And we do have weekly visits in this study. But we also have provided two things that help reduce the burden for our patients. One is a patient concierge service, where we can take care of all of your transportation needs, any long-term stay needs, if you have to stay overnight in a hotel. We have a company that organizes all of that for you and your caregiver, if you need to bring a caregiver with you, at no cost to you, your family. All the arrangements are made and all the costs are covered by UCB. The other thing that we provide in the cosMOG study is home nursing. Most of the physicians that we work with across the U.S. have the opportunity to use a home nurse. We can send 1 or 2 nurses to your home every week for your infusions, some assessments to be done, which means you only have to go back to the clinic every 3 months to check in with your study doctor and do some more extensive assessments at that time. We've really done what we can to hear the needs of our patients and make sure that we provide the services to make it possible for you to participate. I can tell you we have patients that have been in the study for over 2 years now. One of our patients in the U.S. is flying every single week. She gets on a plane very willingly and flies to her study doctor's office. She gets her infusion and she flies home. She's phenomenal. And this isn't right for every patient. We understand that. But if you do have the interest to participate, or if you know someone who would like to participate, on our study website, I'll show it to you in a minute. I didn't want to mess with the clicker. There's a list of the sites that are participating. So if you don't see one near you, just know we can help you make the arrangements to get there for your study visits. So it's really important that we finish this study, we get the data to the FDA, and we see if we have a viable product that we could then bring to market as the first drug for our MOG patients. So here you can see these are all directly from our cosMOG's website. All the information I shared with you today is pretty much detailed here on the website as well. So if you are interested, the study, there's brochures out in the lobby that look like this, and you can take that with you. It has the study website on it. It also has a UCB Cares email address that you can contact if you have any questions about potential participation. There's information here on the investigational drug, how it works, and if I can get down to, this is a map of the sites that are participating. Right now we have 13 sites across the U.S. We have 2 more that are coming. So again, if you don't see one in your immediate area, it doesn't mean that you can't participate. If it's possible for you to get to the clinic for these visits, we can implement the home nursing to supplement in between. So really, we're here to answer any questions you have, talk about clinical trials. I know that Carla spoke earlier today about participating in one. I think Jayla also said that she was in a study. It's great to hear that, we do need, especially in rare disease, we need patients to step up and volunteer for these studies so that we can get to an approved drug. If no one participates, we will never get there. So I encourage you, if it's not this one, I know our NMO patients, there's approved treatments out there, but I'm sure there's still clinical studies going on. We learned so much, not just about our drug, but about the disease itself. Also very important because there's so much yet to learn about these rare diseases, and we really need and rely on the patients to help us get there. So thank you again for having us. We're here if you have questions. And thanks again for being brave enough to be on the panels today. If you were here, patients and families, it really was a treat for me to hear directly from you and just listen to your stories. I commend you all. So thanks very much.